In the last few days, the crypto community in the United States has been paying close attention to renewed discussions around XRP and its possible future, especially as political headlines once again bring former President Donald Trump into broader conversations about financial regulation, digital assets, and the future of blockchain technology in America. To be clear from the beginning, this video is not financial advice, not a price prediction, and not a promise of returns. This is an informational discussion based on publicly available news, historical context, and market behavior created to help viewers better understand what is happening and why people are talking about it. XRP has always occupied a unique position in the crypto market. Unlike many digital assets that focus primarily on decentralization, XRP was designed for fast, low-cost cross-border payments. Its primary use case has consistently been tied to financial institutions, banks, and payment providers rather than retail speculation alone. Over the years, XRP has gone through extreme highs and deep lows. One of the biggest factors affecting its performance has been regulation in the United States. The long-running legal case involving Ripple Labs and the SEC shaped how investors view XRP, especially when it comes to regulatory clarity. Now, when political figures like Donald Trump re-enter the spotlight, crypto markets often react, not because of confirmed policy changes, but because of speculation about what future leadership might mean for regulation, enforcement, and innovation. During Trump's presidency, crypto regulation was relatively hands-off compared to later years. While Trump himself publicly criticized Bitcoin in the past, the broader environment during that time allowed blockchain companies to grow with less regulatory pressure. This historical context is one reason some investors associate political shifts with possible market sentiment changes. However, sentiment is not the same as fact. Markets often move on expectations, rumors, and emotional reactions long before any real policy decisions are made. This is especially true in crypto, where volatility is driven as much by psychology as it is by fundamentals. Recently, XRP has been discussed again due to broader conversations about financial infrastructure, cross-border payments, and the role of blockchain in global settlement systems. As traditional banking systems continue to face inefficiencies, many analysts believe blockchain-based solutions will remain relevant regardless of which political party is in power. That said, no political figure can single-handedly determine the price of a digital asset. Prices are influenced by adoption, liquidity, regulation, macroeconomic conditions, and global demand, not headlines alone. Another important factor is that XRP's supply structure is different from many cryptocurrencies. A large portion of tokens already exist, which means price movements depend heavily on real demand and usage rather than scarcity narratives. This makes long-term growth possible, but also limits unrealistic short-term expectations. In recent months, institutional interest in blockchain technology has quietly increased across the United States. Major financial players are exploring tokenization, faster settlement systems, and blockchain-based infrastructure. XRP is often mentioned in these discussions because of its original design goals. Still, it is critical to understand that institutional exploration does not automatically translate into price movement. Many technologies are tested, evaluated, and even abandoned without ever reaching mass adoption. For retail investors, the biggest mistake is reacting emotionally to headlines that imply urgency, certainty, or guaranteed outcomes. Phrases like breaking, just now, or extreme price claims often trigger fear of missing out, rather than rational decision-making. Historically, the crypto assets that survive long-term cycles are not the ones with the loudest hype, but the ones that continue building through bear markets, regulatory challenges, and shifting narratives. XRP has survived multiple market cycles, legal pressure, and intense criticism. That alone makes it worth studying, but not blindly believing in exaggerated expectations. The crypto market in 2025 and 2026 will likely be shaped more by regulation clarity, interest rate policy, and global economic conditions than by individual personalities. Political leadership matters, but systems matter more. As an American investor or observer, the smartest approach is staying informed, understanding risks, and recognizing the difference between speculation and verified information. Crypto remains a high-risk, high-volatility space where outcomes are never guaranteed. If XRP grows, it will be because of adoption, utility, and regulatory acceptance, not because of a single headline or short-term narrative. If it fails, it will be due to competition, policy barriers, or lack lack of real-world usage. The purpose of this discussion is awareness, not persuasion. Markets reward patience, discipline, and research far more than hype. As always, anyone considering digital assets should do their own research. Consult qualified financial professionals if needed, and never invest more than they can afford to lose. Crypto is evolving, regulation is evolving, and the conversation around XRP continues, not as a promise, but as a possibility shaped by time, policy, and real-world adoption. Another important angle that often gets overlooked in discussions around XRP is how global regulation outside the United States plays a role in shaping long-term relevance. While US policy has a major influence on market sentiment, the XRP is used and discussed internationally, especially in regions where cross-border payments are costly and inefficient. Adoption in global corridors can sometimes move independently of US headlines. This is one of the reasons why XRP conversations tend to resurface repeatedly over the years. It is not just tied to speculation, but to an underlying problem that still exists in global finance. Moving money across borders remains slow and expensive, and blockchain-based solutions continue to attract interest as potential alternatives. That said, interest does not equal dominance. The crypto space has become increasingly competitive. New payment-focused blockchains, stablecoins, and even central bank digital currencies are all competing for relevance. XRP is no longer alone in this space, which means any future success depends on continuous development and real-world partnerships. Another factor that influences XRP's sentiment is transparency. Investors today demand clearer communication, measurable progress, and realistic expectations. Overpromising and under-delivering has damaged trust across the crypto industry in the past. Assets that survive are usually those that maintain steady development rather than chasing short-term attention. Market cycles also matter. Historically, crypto markets move in phases. Periods of extreme optimism followed by sharp corrections. During optimistic phases, narratives become exaggerated. During downturns, even strong projects get ignored. XRP has experienced both extremes, which is why experienced observers tend to focus more on long-term patterns than short-term excitement. When political news intersects with financial markets, reactions are often amplified by social media. Short clips, dramatic thumbnails, and emotionally charged language can create the illusion of certainty where none exists. Responsible content focuses on context rather than shock value. In the United States, financial literacy around digital assets is improving, but it still varies widely. Many viewers are learning in real time, which makes accurate, balanced information more important than ever. This is why separating analysis from speculation is critical. XRP's future, like that of most digital assets, is not linear. Progress may come slowly through regulatory milestones, partnerships, or infrastructure integration. These changes rarely happen overnight and often don't align with viral headlines. Another key point is liquidity. For any asset to scale meaningfully, it needs deep liquidity across multiple markets. XRP has historically performed well in this area compared to many smaller projects, but liquidity alone does not guarantee appreciation. It simply enables participation at scale. Technological relevance also evolves. What was innovative 10 years ago may become standard or even outdated today. XRP's technology must continue to adapt to remain competitive. Blockchain is not static, and neither are market expectations.